Introduction. Have you ever wondered why you were born in the exact year you were, and not a moment sooner or later? Why that number? Why this lifetime? In the quiet unfolding of your birth year lies a subtle code, a whisper from your past life, carried gently through karma and time. And sometimes the answers aren't found in entire lifetimes, but in just one number. Tonight, we'll look closely at the last digit of your birth year. Yes, just one number, and what ancient Buddhist thought suggests it may reveal about the energy you carry, the lessons you're here to learn, and the unseen imprints from lives you've already lived. This isn't fortune telling, and it's not rigid doctrine. It's something more fluid, more intuitive, a way of sensing how patterns echo from one life into the next, like waves returning to shore. Buddhism teaches us that karma is not punishment or reward, it's simply the continuation of intention, a ripple shaped by what we've done, what we've felt, and how we've touched the lives of others. These ripples don't just vanish, they follow us, not to haunt us, but to help us wake up. And sometimes the smallest clues can help us begin to see. So tonight, as we journey through each of the 10 possible ending digits, 0 through 9, allow yourself to listen not just with your mind, but with your heart, your body, and that quiet awareness deep within you. Each digit holds a certain frequency, and that frequency might just mirror an old truth, one you've always felt but never had words for. Let this be gentle, let it be playful, let it feel like remembering something you already knew. So take a slow breath, hold it for a moment, and let it go. We're about to begin. And what you find may not just explain a number, it may awaken something in your soul. 1. The path of the quiet initiator. If the last digit of your birth year is 1, you carry the energy of the quiet initiator, the one who starts something not with noise or attention, but with quiet purpose. In many Buddhist teachings, beginnings are not always loud or obvious. They often arrive like a breath, soft, unnoticed, yet deeply transformative. This karmic imprint suggests that in a past life, you were someone who first stepped into unfamiliar spaces. Perhaps you were the first in your community to question, to wander, or to leave comfort in search of something deeper. You may not have been recognized for it, but your soul remembers what it means to move first, even when no one else understands why. In this life, you might often feel like you're starting over, or like others don't see the quiet courage it takes for you to take those first steps. You may have a deep inner sense that something new is always trying to emerge through you. It's not about ambition, it's about alignment. You walk ahead not to lead, but because you hear a call others haven't yet noticed. There's a peaceful kind of loneliness that can come with this path, one that doesn't always bring sorrow, but instead a sense of sacred responsibility. You are here to plant a seed, not always to see it bloom, but to trust that it will. There was once a monk who, without being asked, began quietly sweeping the temple floor each morning before anyone else arrived. No one noticed for weeks, but in time, others felt drawn to do the same, not by words, but by the energy left behind. That's the karma of one. It does not shout, it simply begins. And others, without knowing why, follow the stillness you leave behind. If you've always felt like you don't quite fit into the systems around you, it's not a flaw. It's your soul reminding you that you came to begin something new. Not always big, not always seen, but always important. Be gentle with your journey. You are the beginning that others are waiting to feel. 2. The echo of dual lives. If the last digit of your birth year is 2, your path carries the imprint of duality, a karmic memory of living between two worlds. In past lives, you may have been someone who often held space between opposites, balancing roles, emotions, or beliefs that never quite fully belong to one side or the other. Buddhist thought tells us that life is filled with pairs, light and shadow, stillness and movement, silence and sound. And yet, the person marked by 2 does not resist these contrasts. Instead, you've likely lived lives learning how to gently hold both, even when it felt uncomfortable. In this life, you may notice a quiet inner tension, as if one part of you is always watching the other. You might feel torn between solitude and connection, stability and change, the need to care for others, and the deep craving to care for yourself. These are not signs of confusion. They are reminders that your soul is still learning the art of balance. Perhaps in a former life, you lived in a position where you were always in between, maybe as a messenger, a bridge between communities, or even as someone who had to live with one foot in tradition and the other in transformation. That memory lives on, not always consciously, but as a subtle pull, a quiet knowing that both sides matter. There's a gentle wisdom in you, a way of sensing what people need, even before they say it. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming to hold that much emotional awareness, but it's part of your gift, one that was cultivated across lifetimes of walking between the seen and the unseen. A woman once said that she never felt fully at home in any one place, but always found small pieces of herself in many. She wasn't lost. She was simply remembering that she had once belonged to more than one path. That is the essence of two. If this is your number, learn to rest in the middle space. You are not meant to choose just one way. Your karma is not to resolve the tension, but to live peacefully within it. You are the quiet balance that others are still learning to trust. 3. The karmic mirror of 3. If your birth year ends in 3, your path is deeply connected to the energy of reflection, of seeing and being seen. The number 3 holds a quiet karmic rhythm, often tied to how we relate to others and how others reflect parts of ourselves back to us. In Buddhist thought, relationships, whether joyful or difficult, are not random. They are mirrors, and those mirrors carry echoes from the past. There is a soft awareness in you, a way you observe the world, not just with your eyes, but with your heart. You may notice things that others miss, a shift in someone's mood, a silence that means more than words. This sensitivity doesn't come from nowhere. It is likely shaped by lifetimes where connection mattered deeply, sometimes in beautiful ways, sometimes in painful ones. Karmically, the number 3 often carries the imprint of emotional entanglement. You may have lived lives where your identity was shaped by how others saw you. Praise lifted you, rejection cut deep. In this life, that pattern might still be present, gently asking to be noticed and softened, not rejected, but understood. Because of this, your current journey may revolve around learning how to separate truth from projection, to understand that not everything reflected back to you is about you, and not every opinion is yours to carry. This is the quiet lesson of 3 to see clearly without becoming lost in the reflection. You may also carry a deep desire to be understood, not just in words, but in essence. This longing isn't selfish, it's a karmic thread, reminding you of lifetimes where you gave much of yourself and still went unseen. In this life, part of your healing is allowing yourself to be witnessed, gently, honestly, and without shrinking. At times, you may also find yourself in the role of the mirror, helping others see themselves often without trying. People may open up around you, drawn by something calm and spacious in your presence. This too is part of your path. You are not here to lose yourself in others, nor are you here to retreat entirely. You are here to stand softly in your own light and reflect with clarity without distortion. This is the quiet karma of 3, the mirror, and the one who sees. The restless seeker's thread. If your birth year ends in 4, your karmic path is tied to a deep, often unspoken restlessness, a quiet search for stability that never quite seems to settle. There's a longing in you, not always loud, but persistent, a sense that something's missing, something's not quite in place. In Buddhist teachings, this kind of inner movement is not seen as wrong. It's a sign of the mind seeking ground. But what most people don't realize is that much of our wandering is a habit from the past, lifetimes of chasing, fixing, and doing carried over into this moment where we keep looking outside for something only found within. You may find yourself working hard, striving for results, or always preparing for the next step. And still, the satisfaction doesn't last. It fades quickly, leaving you once again scanning the horizon for the next answer, the next goal, the next task. This is the karmic echo of 4, the loop of effort without deep rest. But here is the gentle truth. Seeking is not the same as waking up, and action is not the same as peace. Many souls born under the 4 vibration feel they need to earn their right to rest, or that they must keep building something to prove their worth. This belief often runs so deep it's hard to notice, but it is learned, and it can be unlearned. This number calls you not to stop growing, but to look more closely at why you're always moving. What are you trying to fix? What emptiness are you trying to outrun? Spiritual teachings remind us the ground we seek is already beneath us. We don't need to keep running to find it. We need to be still enough to feel it. So if you feel tired, lost in busyness, or always reaching, pause, not as a punishment, but as a gift. Sit with yourself without expectation. Let the silence speak. Let it show you that you are not broken, not behind, and not missing anything. You are simply remembering how to come home. And for someone who spent lifetimes chasing, that is the bravest thing you can do. The weight of the middle way. If the last digit of your birth year is 5, you carry the karmic imprint of contrast, of being pulled between extremes and slowly learning how to walk the middle path. This path, so central in Buddhist teachings, is not about being neutral or detached. It's about the quiet strength it takes to live in balance when both sides call your name. There's a deep sensitivity in those with this number, a subtle awareness of both joy and sorrow, of beauty and pain, sometimes in the same breath. In past lives, you may have swung between excess and deprivation, control and chaos, speaking too loudly or staying silent for too long. These experiences left impressions, and in this life, your soul is learning how to hold both without being overwhelmed. You may notice a tendency to overcorrect, to give too much and then withdraw, to trust too quickly, then build walls. These patterns aren't failures, they're just echoes. They are part of the karma you're gently waking up to. Often, people with this number feel a strange pressure, like they must get it right. They may carry the weight of being responsible for everyone's comfort or the need to always keep things balanced, even at their own expense. But balance is not control, it is presence. True balance comes when you stop trying to fix everything and instead begin to feel what's actually happening inside you. That's when the middle way opens, not as a rule, but as a lived experience. There's something quietly noble about this path. It asks you to stay in the center, even when others rush to one side, to stay grounded, even when the world is spinning, and to learn that peace is not passive. It is practiced, moment by moment. This life may be calling you to slow down and listen more deeply to your inner pendulum, to stop reacting and instead start responding with care, with clarity, with kindness for both your past and your present. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to fix the world. You just have to stay present long enough to remember what's real. This is the quiet power of the number 5. It doesn't rush, it returns. And in that return, it finds peace. The cycle of old promises. If your birth year ends in 6, you may carry the subtle weight of unkept promises and unfinished duties, not just from this lifetime, but from others before it. This number often brings the echo of commitments made long ago, some fulfilled, some still lingering, quietly shaping the way you love, give, and stay connected. In Buddhist thought, the heart remembers more than the mind ever could. And sometimes what we call loyalty or responsibility is really a karmic thread pulling us back to someone or something we couldn't let go of. Souls marked by the 6 often return to complete what was left undone, not out of guilt, but out of deep inner devotion. You may feel this as a strong urge to care for others, even at your own expense, a quiet need to be needed, a tendency to stay longer than you should, or to carry emotional burdens that were never truly yours. These patterns can be beautiful but exhausting, and they often come from a place of memory, not just personality. There's a tenderness in you, a softness that remembers how it feels to be abandoned or to abandon. And now, in this life, you may overextend yourself trying to keep everyone close, trying not to let anyone down. But the deeper lesson of this number isn't just about loyalty, it's about discernment, about learning which connections are rooted in love and which are rooted in old karmic debt. You don't have to rescue everyone. You don't have to replay the same roles in every lifetime. Your path now is to awaken to your own heart, to know when to give and when to step back, to recognize that true compassion does not come from sacrifice, it comes from clarity. There's peace waiting for you when you learn to let go, not with anger, but with softness, to bless what's been and release what no longer serves the soul's unfolding. That is how karma is released, not with force, but with quiet understanding. You are not bound. You are simply remembering the promises you've made, and now you are free to choose what still feels sacred and what it's time to release. 7. The solitude of the inner pilgrim. If the last digit of your birth year is 7, you walk the path of the inner pilgrim, a soul that seeks not the noise of the outer world, but the silence that lives underneath it. In Buddhist teachings, silence is not emptiness. It is the doorway to insight, and your karma often points to lifetimes spent in search of deeper understanding, even if it meant walking alone. There is something in you that knows the world cannot give what the soul truly needs. And while others may chase status, certainty, or applause, you feel called to something quieter, something less visible but more real. That's the echo of past lives dedicated to spiritual growth, times when you withdrew from the world, not to escape it, but to understand it more clearly. In this life, that energy may still live within you. You might feel different, even from an early age, like you're observing from a distance, even in the middle of the crowd. Not because you don't belong, but because your attention naturally drifts inward to the why beneath the surface, the pattern beneath the moment. This can feel lonely sometimes. It's not always easy to live in a world that moves fast, while your soul moves slowly. People may not always understand your silences, your need for space, your quiet hunger for meaning, but solitude is not isolation. It is where you return to remember who you are without noise. There may also be a tendency to retreat too far, to hide in thought, to become overly cautious, to withhold your gifts. The lesson of seven is not just to look inward, but to bring back what you find, to share your quiet wisdom in a world that needs it, even if your voice is soft. Your karma is not about separation, it's about stillness. And from that stillness, truth begins to rise. So when the world feels too loud, return to your breath. When you feel unseen, return to your presence. You are not here to convince or impress. You are here to remember. You are the one who watches, the one who walks gently, the one who sees clearly, even when others do not. 8. The pattern of earthly attachments. If the last digit of your birth year is 8, you may feel deeply tied to the material world, not just in what you own, but in how you structure your life, how you measure your worth, and what you believe brings safety. In Buddhist teachings, the root of suffering often lies in attachment to things, to outcomes, to identity itself. And for those carrying the vibration of 8, this is one of the quiet karmic threads asking to be seen. This number often echoes lifetimes where power, status, or wealth played a significant role. Perhaps you once had much and feared losing it, or perhaps you had little and longed for more. Either way, the soul remembers the tension. And in this life, that memory might show up as a need for control or a silent fear of instability. You may find yourself striving, always building, planning, organizing. These qualities are not wrong. In fact, they can be beautiful expressions of care and grounding. But the deeper question is, do you own what you build, or does it begin to own you? There's a quiet spiritual challenge in the number 8, to move through the physical world without becoming trapped by it, to touch success, comfort, or stability, but to remember they are not who you are, just passing waves in the sea of impermanence. You might also struggle with expectations, your own or those placed upon you, the sense that you're supposed to achieve something specific or prove your value through outer results. This is where the teaching becomes tender. You are already enough, even before anything is finished, fixed, or earned. Let this be a soft invitation to loosen your grip, to enjoy what life brings without clinging, to build with care, but not with fear, to allow change, even in the structures you've worked hard to create. You are not being asked to renounce the world, only to move through it with awareness, to find wealth in presence, and to see that the most lasting form of abundance is peace. Let go, gently, not to lose, but to return to what can't be taken from you. This is the quiet wisdom of 8, to hold the world lightly and still walk with strength. 9. The dissolver of old forms. If the last digit of your birth year is 9, you are walking a path of completion, a soul arriving at the edge of cycles that may have stretched across many lifetimes. In Buddhist thought, the number 9 holds the energy of dissolution, not in the sense of loss, but of gentle unraveling, of things falling away when their time has come, and the soul learning to let go with grace. There is often something quietly old in those with this number, not in age, but in presence, a sense that you've seen much, even if you can't explain how. You may notice that things tend to end around you, relationships, phases, roles, identities, sometimes without warning. But this isn't punishment, it's part of your karmic rhythm. In previous lives, you may have held tightly to ideas, beliefs, or attachments that defined who you were. Now, your soul is learning to release them, not in fear, but in freedom. This life may ask you to shed skin after skin, not because you are broken, but because something wiser is always trying to emerge. People with this number often carry deep empathy, and with it, the tendency to hold space for others in pain. There's a quiet healer in you, one who understands that endings can be sacred. But be gentle with yourself. The weight of carrying other people's transformations can be heavy, and you're not here to fix everyone. You're here to witness, to feel, and then to release. You may find it hard to stay in places or identities that no longer feel true. And while others may fear your changes, you are not here to remain the same. You are here to soften into what's next, to live in the quiet trust that nothing real can be lost, only transformed. The wisdom of nine is not in holding things together, it is in allowing them to fall apart when it's time, with kindness, with faith, with love. Your journey now is about surrender, not as defeat, but as evolution. So when you feel things ending, bless them. And when you feel something inside you dissolving, don't resist it. You are the closing breath of a long exhale, and the space from which something entirely new may begin. The numbers were only the beginning. Now that we've wandered through the quiet meanings behind each digit, you may find yourself asking, what does all this really mean for me? And that's a beautiful place to be, not in certainty, but in stillness. Because these numbers, these patterns, they were never meant to define you. They are not labels or destinies. They are gentle invitations, ways of remembering something your soul already knows. In Buddhist teachings, we learn that nothing arises alone. Everything we experience is part of an intricate web of causes and conditions, karma unfolding not as punishment or reward, but as gentle reminders of where we've been and what we still carry. The last digit of your birth year is small, almost forgettable, but in its quiet place at the end of the number, it holds a vibration, a frequency, a whisper from the past. Whether you resonated with one message deeply or found pieces of yourself in several, that's okay. The self is not a fixed thing. You are a movement, a flow, and so is karma, so is awakening. Perhaps what this exploration has shown you is not who you are, but where your attention is being called, to the longing you've been ignoring, to the habits you no longer need, to the part of you that wants to remember what it truly means to be free. Because the truth is, you are not your number. You are the awareness behind the number. You are the listener, the observer, the silent presence that keeps returning to the path, even when the way forward isn't clear. And maybe, just maybe, that's all karma is trying to teach us, not to fix ourselves or to earn anything, but to become so present, so still, that we finally hear the soft voice underneath it all, the one that's always been waiting. So as you go, hold this lightly. Let it rest in your heart, not as a rule book, but as a mirror. And if even one line stirred something in you, let that be enough for now. You are already on the path. You never left. You're just learning how to walk it with open eyes and an open heart. And here's something rarely said out loud: not all karma needs to be cleared. Some of it is already complete. The work is not always to fix, but to stop carrying what was never yours to begin with. Let that settle in your heart. I'd love to know, did any part of this speak to you? Which number felt like it was whispering something old, something true? Share your experience in the comments below. I'll be reading with care, and I'd truly love to connect with the quiet stories only you can tell.